Let's talk about chicken. So I know this looks a little different because I'm sitting in a gaming chair in the middle of my kitchen. So it is different. I've actually been really sick recently with a kidney infection, so I haven't really had the time to make those Montreal bagels that, I'm sure someone is waiting for me to do. God, I hope someone is. But while I was sitting in bed being sick, I thought maybe I should do sort of a basic series. A lot of people just don't grasp the fundamentals, so I thought, let's change up the formula a little bit. Instead of doing the exact same type of video every week, I'm going to change it up. So this week I'm going to be trying out something new. We're going to be doing a fundamentals video, and starting with this guy right here. Simple chicken. We're going to do it 2 ways. Everyone should be able to cook a chicken. Anyway, let's jump into it. Feels good to be back in our normal shot. But you know what? We have some chicken to make, so take a sip of coffee, preheat that oven to 425, put on your purple gloves because yes, that step is of course required. And we're also gonna need a warm cast iron pan pretty soon, so while the oven's preheating, go ahead and get your cast iron in there. Now, prepping the chicken is actually going to be pretty easy. So first, lay out some paper towel, then get your chicken onto a board, and with a very sharp knife, go ahead and scrape the area around the wishbone until the bone is exposed. Run your finger over the length of the bone until you're able to get a firm grip on the top, then give it a little bit of a twist and a pull and rip that right on out of there. Next, you're going to rinse off that chicken and pat it dry inside and out. And now it's time for the fun stuff. So bend back the little wing tips, that'll keep them from burning, and salt and pepper the inside of the bird very generously. Do you feel yourself getting excited? That's because it's time to truss this chicken. Now, trussing is actually very simple. Go ahead and lay the middle of your butcher twine underneath the tail end of the bird, continuing to wrap around the outside of the leg, and then form a figure 8 underneath the opposite side. Pull it nice and tight, and then bring both ends around the sides of the chicken until you can tie a little knot in the front. Trussing the chicken this way is going to make sure everything has the same density so it'll cook evenly. Now, this is just a very, very basic roast chicken, so we are not going to stuff it. All we're going to do is take our warm cast iron out of the oven, put it onto something that isn't our counter as to not destroy it, and then put your bird down in the pan. Seasoning this bird, all we're using is salt and pepper. Very, very generous amount of salt and pepper, but just salt and pepper nonetheless. Again, we're going for the basic version of chicken. Get that into a hot oven, 425 degrees, until the internal temperature reaches 165 degrees. Remember, there is absolutely no shame in using a thermometer. Take it out of the oven and let it rest. Once it's rested for a good 10 minutes, go ahead, cut off the butcher's twine, and thanks to the fact that we removed that wishbone at the start, we can now just sort of cut straight down and cut this chicken into 2 halves. I cannot even begin to describe how tender and juicy this chicken turned out. Sometimes simple is better. Now remember, don't you dare throw out any piece of chicken, including the carcass. Get everything that you're not using and put it into a big stock pot, because we are going to be making a stock eventually, though that may be in a future episode. Now that you're done marveling at my absolutely perfectly cooked chicken, I promised you chicken 2 ways. So now we're going to complicate this recipe just a little bit. So peel and cut up about 8 carrots, using 4 to go directly into a stock pot. Same thing with an entire bunch of celery. And cut up 2 onions. One goes directly into a stock pot and the other gets split in half. Finally, crush up about, 10 cloves of garlic. Put half of them into the stock pot and set the other half aside. Get your Dutch oven ready, break apart 1/2 of that white onion, dice up your carrots into big old chunks, same thing with your celery, put it into your Dutch oven with the remaining cloves of garlic, add a bit of canola oil, salt and pepper, and then heat it up. Don't go too intense, we just kind of want this warm. With that mirepoix going, our attention can now be brought back to the chicken. Go ahead and dice up the remaining half onion and stuff that into the cavity along with some salt and pepper. Now, I don't know if you watched my turkey episode, but we are going to be doing basically the same thing. Using your finger, go underneath the skin of the chicken, being careful not to rip the skin. You just want to disconnect it from the flesh. That way you are able to stuff butter underneath the skin of this chicken. That is going to make it super moist and add a whole new depth of flavor. With that part done, go ahead and bend your wing tips back, pull out the wishbone the same way we did with the first chicken, and add your seasoning. Seasoning this time around with oregano, paprika, salt, and pepper. Finally, with all of that complete, we truss our chicken the exact same way we trussed it last time, set it on top of the mirepoix, and drizzle it with some olive oil. That is going to keep the butter from burning. Take the entire Dutch oven and put it into the oven at 400 degrees this time until, once again, the temperature reaches 165 degrees. If you notice that your chicken is getting a little too brown too quickly, go ahead and just add the lid to the Dutch oven. That's going to stop the chicken from browning, and it's going to finish by steaming the chicken. Once the chicken's done, once again, we're going to let it rest for another 10 minutes while we make a very simple gravy. Take out all your vegetables from the Dutch oven, give them a nice squeeze through a sieve, and then go ahead and sieve all of those cooking juices into your measuring cup. Add about half a cup of very cold water. This is going to help the fat to solidify and sit on top. While that rests for about 2 minutes while the fat coagulates on top, we are going to start making our roux. So to 1 heaping tablespoon of all-purpose white flour, you're going to add about 2 tablespoons of salted butter. Heat that up and cook it until all the flour has dissolved into the butter and there's no clumps. You are then going to scoop all the fat off the top of the cooking juices. Pour all of that into your roux, mix well to combine, and add a literal splash of white wine, just a little bit because we have so little juice. A helpful tip, you can also take the wings off the chicken because no one eats them anyway and toss them into the gravy for an extra little bit of chicken flavor in there. Adjust your seasoning to your liking, and there you go, a completely serviceable, simple gravy. Same as before, cut up your chicken, add the carcass into a big stock pot along with any pieces of the chicken that you're not going to use. Make stock for later, and then just add your sides. For me, I'm having potatoes, dumping the gravy on top, and that's it for me. This has been 2 very simple roast chickens. I hope you learned something. I hope you go out and try this because they're both absolutely delicious in their own right, but they are the fundamentals. I hope you build upon these recipes and make something absolutely fantastic. If you like this fundamentals video, be sure to leave a like and comment down below. Let me know if you tried these recipes, what happened, what you think I should change, what you think I missed. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.